All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stephen Gans with GooseOps, and today we are going to be taking a look into Terracotta AI. A brief bit about me. GooseOps, me and GooseOps. GooseOps is a DevOps consulting company, and we work to help startups, early stage and mid stage startups, to kind of make their infrastructure more efficient, make their automations more efficient, save money on their cloud spend, and make sure that everything that they're doing is secure in a from the cloud perspective. And so that is what I do with GooseOps and what GooseOps offers as its services. And then today we're going to be looking, like I said, at Terracotta AI. Now, I've met the guys with Terracotta AI at the most recent KubeCon in Atlanta. And that was, well, I guess maybe it's not the most recent anymore, but it was a few months ago at the end of 2025, the KubeCon in Atlanta. And I just really liked the guys. They did a lot of great work. Carlos and I have been chatting a bit, as well as Tyler and I have been chatting a bit. And I wanted to kind of dive deep into their product and what they're offering. And one of the cool pieces of it is that it's free to use, right? It's not free to use all the time if you use a lot of it, but it is free to use and to get started with. And that's one thing that I really like about projects that are in the startup space is it's really nice when you have some kind of free offering to keep things lean initially and to experiment with them and to start out using them. So anyway, so we're going to dive into that. I've done basically zero work. I have a general idea of what Terracotta AI does, but I've done really zero work with their product. What I have done in setting things up today is I have built out a repository with Terraform and Git and GitHub Actions because that's kind of what they're building their product around. And so before we get into who they are, I just want to give you a brief environment outline and kind of what we're doing. And so what you're seeing here is, this is probably a little small. You have the Terracotta demo. This is a repository from GooseOps. It is a public repository. You can fork it, and there's not a whole lot here. Shucks. Oh, here it is. There's not a ton in the repository as far as like actual code goes, but there's a bit of Terraform code, and there's the providers that we're going to be using today. I can show you that. We're going to be using three providers today. We're going to be using Doppler. We're going to be using Cloudflare. Maybe we may not get to the Cloudflare part. I've got that one's just kind of in here in case we can get far enough to provision some Cloudflare DNS records, and then we're going to use Google as our main cloud to be provisioning stuff into. Doppler, if you're not familiar with Doppler, Doppler is a secrets provider. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use them to inject any secrets that we might need into the Terraform code. All right, and then the other piece of information that I kind of blew over because I assumed that you knew it was that we're using Git and GitHub Actions. And so you can see in our actions, I've already done a few test runs to make sure we can run these things. And the GitHub Actions is just an automation in GitHub that allows us to run commands, run scripts, etc. That can, in our case, they're going to affect our infrastructure. They're going to run our Terraform commands for us and provision our resources in Google Cloud or Cloudflare for us. And so that's kind of the automation that's running in GitHub. Some prerequisites or some expected current knowledge before you kind of jump into this tutorial. You're expected to pretty much already know Git. You're expected to in our case, we're using GitHub. So you're expected to know GitHub and understand what GitHub does and what it offers. We're using GitHub Actions, which is kind of a sub-product of GitHub. It's an automation product or a command runner or a scripting tool or an automation tool, a CI/CD tool, whatever you want to call it. So there's a general understanding that you know about GitHub Actions, what they do, and how to configure them. And then we're using Terraform as our infrastructure as code language. So it's written in HCL, HashiCorp configuration language. And so we expect that you know a bit about Terraform, the Terraform CLI, and what it's doing, right? And then some things that I've already set up is for this, our Terraform state. I set up a GCP a cloud storage bucket and GCP storage bucket for our Terraform state. So that's what the GitHub Actions is going to be interfacing with when it's pulling state information and adding to or removing pieces of state. So there's the Google Cloud bucket, which means before that you also need a project that you're configuring, and you need a service account. And then we've also configured the OIDC provider between GitHub and Google Cloud so that GitHub can call Google Cloud as the service account without us having to keep those credentials in the service account credentials in the GitHub repository. All right, so that's a lot of prerequisite knowledge for this. This is not, I wouldn't say this is really a beginner tutorial. This is the general idea here is that you're kind of in DevOps or automation or infrastructure automation, and we're wanting to add a tool to our tool belt in that particular set of workflows. But again, this is, like I said, this is all, this repository is public. You can fork it. There are some assumptions that I've made, and it's that you're using those three providers, Doppler, Cloudflare, and Google but you can build out from that with different providers and continue on with the workflows that are here, etc. As long as you configure your credentials correctly, then you should be good to go. Okay. So now let's do a quick introduction to Terracotta, a more substantial introduction to Terracotta. All right, so they say they are AI-powered code reviewer for platform teams that catches and explains broken infrastructure changes in your pull requests with full context of your code base, plan, state, and live infrastructure. And so what this is as far as I understand it so far, is we're going to integrate this with our GitHub Actions workflows, and it's going to run something behind the scenes, and we're going to see that output either in our dashboard that Terracotta provides us, or also in our PRs, in the comments of our PR, or in the in the merge comments once something is merged. So I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna work. Like I said, I've not done any configuration. I've never signed up before. We're gonna sign up live right here today. Okay, so all right, we're not gonna watch the video. We will jump right into the. Okay, here we go. GLDR of your Terraform code intent. Clear summaries of what's changing, what it impacts, and where it can break. Terraform PRs are analyzed pre-merge using a diff, plan, state, and live infra before CI/CD or production. So this is saying, hey, we're going to be able to run Terraform plans, see the differences, and give you recommendations or results from that AI review. Guardrails without bottlenecks. Okay, so it's going to allow us to enforce security costs and custom best practice standards directly in the PRs with no policy sprawl. One of the things that they are using the AI powered stuff, and they were talking about when they were showing it to me at KubeCon, is that you can kind of use natural language to configure policy as opposed to doing some kind of very specific syntax around policy. And so this is interesting. We're going to maybe see if we can get into that today. I'm not sure how far we're going to get today. I've time boxed it to less than an hour, or right at an hour. So my goal is to spend 30 minutes to an hour on this today. And so we'll see if we can get into some of these slightly more advanced or in-depth pieces of information. Okay. All right. So let's not spend a whole lot more time learning about it. Let's just do it. All right. Start a free trial. I'm assuming I'm going to have to sign up. All right. We're going to sign up here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to pull it over and we're going to sign up with Google. I'm going to pull it over because I'm not 100% sure that if I sign in with Google, it's not going to ask me for a password. And so I'm just going to keep that all over here to the side. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so once I logged in with Google, it's saying once connected will automatically review posts. So we're going to use, okay, sorry, I'm going to read that out loud without mumbling through it. Once connected, all right, so back up. You didn't see it, it was off screen, but I logged in with Google and approved the Google's SSO. And so after that, I got right to this screen. And now it's asking me to connect Terracotta. And it's saying, hey, which Git provider do you want to connect to. So it's looking like they support GitHub and GitLab currently, and that Bitbucket is coming soon. Those are probably the three biggest Git cloud providers that are out there. I shouldn't say probably. Those are definitely the three biggest Git cloud providers that are out there. And I would say GitHub is by far the biggest of those three, especially in the public space. So we're going to connect GitHub here in just a second, but it does give you the option that you don't have to do that. You can just integrate Terracotta directly into your CI/CD pipeline using your API. So if you don't want to immediately integrate GitHub, or you don't like the idea of not knowing exactly how GitHub is being integrated, it feels like a little bit of a black box or whatever, that connection between GitHub and Terracotta, then you might want to just use their API. And so I suspect what you'd have to do then is just have an API key that you create as your GitHub secret, and then in your workflows, you just reference that API key to that links to your Terracotta dashboard, or your Terracotta cloud offering. But we're going to go ahead and just do the easy button here today, connect GitHub. All right, and we're going to install and authorize. Oh, we're not going to do this on all of our repositories. We're only going to do it on, is it in here? Terracotta demo. Okay, and with these permissions, so it will have access to code, metadata, and repository hooks, read and write access to checks, issues, and pull requests. Okay, and so I should be able to hit install and authorize. Boom. That was a very simple setup and run, and very simple setup, installation, and connection. I'm assuming you could go deeper if you had more repositories. It might get a little crazy if you wanted to configure the API key only. Then you're going to be doing a little bit more of a manual setup, I suspect, because you're going to have to configure the API key and things like that, like I just said. But that was it. That was a really simple sign up, and that's kind of nice, actually, that it was that simple to sign up and get going. And this is free, by the way. So let me back up just a hair. Let's see if I can actually get to the pricing page without it. Okay, cool. So I can jump right back to pricing. And this is free, right? You get up to 20 PRs for free. So hopefully we won't go through all those today. And then you get Terraform code reviews and all this other stuff. AI-powered drift detection, AI-powered cost impact analysis, AI-powered Terraform summary of changes, AI-powered Terraform plan review, AI-TF code review, AI-powered guardrails. So this is the natural language policy as code enforcement, AI-powered PR conflicts, Terraform monorepo support, and then you get basic support, I suspect, from either this chat right here, or maybe you can do some emailing or things like that. But that's pretty crazy. That's a lot for free. And if you're only connecting it to one repository, one Terraform repository, because it's just you personally running your own Terraform code or what have you, 20 PRs for free is probably going to be enough. Personally, I do a reasonable amount of Terraform code for my home lab using like Proxmox and the Proxmox providers and things like that. I don't think I would have 20 PRs a month. Unless this is 20 PRs ever. No, this is, it says monthly up here, so I'm assuming it's 20 PRs a month. Unless this is 20 PRs ever before you have to start paying for it. That would be a little bit questionable, but I suspect it's 20 PRs monthly. And I don't have anybody in the chat right now to let me know if that's the case or not. But I'm sure you can reach out to them on LinkedIn or X and get that answer. But I suspect it's monthly. And then $24 a month per engineer billed annually. So what is that? 24, 240, 268, 288 a year per engineer. And then you get some priority support. That's, I don't know if I'd say that's too pricey, considering that you get this free tier up to 20 PRs. This is basically saying you're going to be doing a lot of work and a lot of PRs and a lot of Terraform repositories, and so 24 from free, but the free is a pretty generous offer. I can see that that's fine, right? The free version of it, because it is reasonably robust, it seems like you would expect in a lot of situations for this number to be sub 20, probably even like sub $15 a month per engineer. But because again the free offering is so robust, or it seems to be so robust and so generous, that jumping to 24 right away is probably fine, and probably makes the most sense, because it's going to be hard. You're probably not going to go through the free tier in most cases unless you're a power user, and if you're a power user, you're going to probably be wanting to spend this much money or more to have this feature in your Terraform repositories. Okay, so that's the pricing. Let's go back to our dashboard. I'm going to pop this dashboard to the side. Actually, let's click through the dashboard a little bit, get a little bit more familiar. All right, so in the repository section, this theoretically we have one repository, and I can click on it, and okay, this is cool. This, I didn't do anything here. This is just right out of the gate. I'm not going to actually configure anything yet because I want to see what happens. Because theoretically, I should just be able to go. Maybe I need to pull up some documentation to get me started. Introduction, why Terracotta, quick start video. I don't want video tutorials. Is there a quick start not video tutorial? Is it all videos? Videos are good. They're just not great for live stream. Best practices and how-to guide. When you it's interesting. It does appear to support OpenTofu from the gate, so that's pretty cool. OpenTofu is an open source version of Terraform v1.5, I think, which was when Terraform decided to close source Terraform. And so OpenTofu picked it up from there, and then after the fork is maintaining an open source version of it, and theoretically should be a drop-in replacement for Terraform. When you submit a Terraform or OpenTofu pull request, Terracotta instantly performs a Terraform plan on your newly pushed changes and submits an initial review as the first PR comment. And so what does it do? So from here you can start interacting. So it said on the pull request. Okay, so on the pull request, Terracotta performs by itself a Terraform plan on your newly pushed changes and submits. Okay, so let's do a pull request. And let's see what's not properly configured, right? Because I suspect that. Whoops. Hello. My window just went crazy. There we go. Let's perform a pull request because I suspect we don't have everything perfectly configured. So what I did is once I built this out, we had this guy, this demo E2 micro, this demo VM from GCP, using this module up here. That is actually my module in our ops repository, in the GooseOps ops repository. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to add that. So we uncommented it, so it is a change in the repository. So if we run git status, we should see it as a change. Yep, and so we're going to add it. We're going to commit it. Oh wait. We're on main, and so we need to change branches first. We're going to check out the branch Terracotta demo. Cool. And now I think I don't have to add it again, but we'll add it again. And then we're going to git commit Terracotta demo start. And it needs my password for the GPG key, of course. Good. And we're going to push that up. Cool. All right. And so nothing. So actually, that's not true. I should actually have an action from this, I think, and it should run a plan. It should run a plan. No, it only runs the plan. I'm sorry, on the pull request. That's right. So up here in the GitHub action pull request. Oh, actually, yeah, on any pull request, and then pushes to branch main, and then the plan happens on the pull request event. Okay, cool. And so I should be able to create. So this is interesting. So let's check out our UI over here. Where is it? There it is. get rid of this and this. All right, so theoretically, I should just be able to run a pull request. And my own action will definitely run, but I want to see what Terracotta is going to do. Okay, there's the pull request. I'm not going to merge anything yet. Okay, so this is my action. And okay, it picked up the PR. Whoa. Okay, that's all been generated from the PR. That's pretty cool. Okay, so over here in my pipeline, we have a Terraform plan, and it should give us the plan and say these three things need to be added. The three things are the VM, the boot disk, and the static IP address. That's all configured in the module. And then, so what we see over here, this is really tiny print. So let's make it all bigger. So you get, ooh, can I close this? No, go back. Can I close documentation? Can I close that? I guess maybe not. All right, let's get a little bit bigger. Maybe that's probably fine. All right, so down here we see what happened. Status changed, right? Pull request 1 open, right? So this is when I open the pull request, right? And then the bot response gives us, hey, this module is sourced from GitHub repository and is configured to deploy a Google Cloud Platform Compute Engine instance. That's correct. The engine is specified with the name of Terracotta demo located in this zone and uses E2 micro machine type. It includes an admin user and admin pub key sourced from Doppler secrets. That's true. And is tagged with Terracotta demo. The boot disk size is set to 10 gigs. This change will result in the deployment of the specified compute instance, potentially incurring costs associated with running the instance. There are no direct security implications visible in the patch, as it relies on existing secret management for sensitive data. That's correct. Okay, cool. And then we have, so this is the change summary, and then we have the simulated plan report. So it must have run its own plan. The error could not find any configuration files. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is interesting. This typically happens if .tf files are missing or not correctly placed in the directory where Terraform is being run. So that was what I was wondering, if that was going to happen, because I didn't configure working directory and I didn't know if it was smart enough to pull it from the work flow files that were already there. So if you'll notice in here, in our code, where's our code? Here it is. We set a working directory of world, which is this directory right here. That's where all of our configuration files are. And so I wasn't sure if it would figure that out or not. So it did not figure that out, and that's why it's saying, hey, I don't know what the plan is, right? But what's interesting is it still figured out this one. This one it figured out because of the code change. This one it didn't figure out because it wasn't able to actually run Terraform plan, right? And then this one is 0 issues, which is nice. Maybe we'll try and add an issue to see if this, I don't know, flags something. And then no file level conflicts. There's our PR conflict report. And then cost impact 1. It adds this. So this is our GCP compute and 10 gigs boot disk, but it's saying that it cannot give us in the cost. Sorry, it's saying pricing could not be determined from the patch only context. I'm not exactly sure what that's meaning. It wasn't a patch. It was I don't know what it's saying about what it means by patch. I'm gonna have to learn that. Maybe it's a Terraform thing that I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Have to figure that one out. That cost impact is also reflected right here. It's basically exactly the same thing, and it's saying, hey, the patch adds a GCP, VM, and ET micro and boot disk. Pricing cannot be determined from patch only context. Review, and then it tells us, hey, review this to estimate costs. So that's fine. Okay, cool. So that's a lot of information to read through and to kind of get in your face on a PR. I don't know that it's too much or too little compared to what you're going to get if you were to, I don't know, manage your PRs, comments and things like that yourself. Um, what's interesting is that you get this immediately out of the box. Like I did basically zero configuration, and that's what's really nice is I didn't even have to configure GitHub Action change, right? I didn't have to tell it, hey, this is my GitHub Action that's different. All I had to do was create a PR, and it, after connecting to the repository, it picked it up immediately, and so that's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we can get the working directory fixed. And I believe that's probably going to be under here. Yeah, and so we're going to edit this and say relative to the repo root. Use dot for root directory to automatically include every subdirectory under a folder. Append /star. Okay, so we're going to say world. I don't know that I probably don't actually need. I can probably just do this. Save changes. Okay. And so now I think that should work just fine. And so I'm going to delete the PR and create a new one. We're going to start burning through our PRs. Well, actually, trigger on PRs. Also trigger, let's see, trigger on PR sync. So trigger Terracotta when commits are pushed to an open PR. Oh, okay. So basically, if you make changes to a PR before it's merged in, do we want to trigger it? For the sake of simplicity, I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to push new PRs. What I'm just going to do is I'm going to delete this PR. We're going to close it here. Oh, what's up? I didn't even think about this. Check it out. Okay, so this is better. This, okay, there you go. It actually did push stuff. Oh my goodness, I was totally looking in the wrong place. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, I launched this, I made it happen, and then I assumed, silly me, assumed that this was where I was going to get all of my information. And so I was sitting here reading through this information log, set of logs from the bot in Terracotta AI's dashboard, but I'm goofy, and it's actually all right flipping here in my PR, and it's in a much better and more readable, much better and more readable format than it was over in the Terracotta AI's dashboard, which is probably by design. Okay, so that's silly. All right, well, so anyway, this is probably all exactly the same information, just much more readable. And it is over here in my GitHub repo. This is really great to find zero issues, no conflicts for the PR. That's awesome. And then the error indicates Terraform could not find any configuration files. Yeah. So that's the error that we saw before because it has the wrong directory. So, okay, cool. So this is where I'm going to look next time, but we're going to close this PR. That's down here at the bottom, I think. Close. Nope. Where is it? Close. Yep. And closed. And then we're going to open a new one. Wait, why does it say one still? It should say, okay, there we go. Just trying to catch up. Choose. Yep. So we're going to do this guy. And we're going to create another pull request because I'm just going to again, this is just the pull request that's bringing in the GCP VM. I'm going to create another one because I want to trigger the thing. It probably doesn't have to happen this way. This is just personally, I like making things as clean as possible so I don't have accidentally overlapping context when I'm trying out a new tool. And so I just close that old PR instead of trying to make it run again from Terracotta to redo the thing. And now that we've changed the configuration. So again, now we've changed the configuration in repositories. Click on repository. We've added the directory here. This is the directory where our Terraform configuration files are, our .tf files are. Okay, and so now, so I close the LPR, create a new PR now that that one configuration has changed. And so we're going to create this new pull request. This is actually really great. Okay, cool. So I'm actually just going to kind of sit tight here and see what's going to happen with the Terracotta AI to bring in the comments and things. I suspect it's going to happen pretty fast. One cool thing to note here is that we're 30 minutes into this learn session, and we're already using the product. So one of the things that I've struggled with with some other tools like is that you said, oh, that was so fast. That's fantastic. Okay. One of the things that when I'm sitting down and learning a tool, it's really nice to not have to spend an hour and a half trying to figure out the tool first, like how to get it integrated, how to make it work, etc. So this one it's just working. Like it's just immediately available and running and functioning, and that's really, really great. Like you can get, literally I got started with it in less than 15 minutes, right? I didn't have to do workflow files. I didn't have to configure like specific GitHub actions or anything like that. All I had to do was connect it to my repository, right? I didn't even really, aside from like the login and the connection, okay, and the configuration of my world directory, aside from that, I don't even really have to touch the dashboard. I can, like, and I probably will continue to touch it a little bit to make some other small configuration adjustments and things like that. But it's already rocking in the PR reports. Okay, so this is probably the same. It reactivates as before. It's going to tell us the same, but now we actually have the simulated plan report. This is interesting. Okay, so it appears that we have the wrong Terraform. Huh. I don't think that's a repository configuration problem, because up here it's not configured, which it probably should be. And then I have this is configured in the module. Ops. In this is where my modules are. Ignore all of the git changes that are in here, I'm sure. My modules in here, this is GCP, compute engine, here, and here. Yep, right there. That's where the required version comes in, is that I'm requiring the Terraform version greater than or equal to 1.8, and it's telling me I'm using 1.5.7. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, I don't need that anymore. So let's see if we can change the Terraform version in here. Not there. And I can probably just have it use 1.5.7. It's just interesting that it doesn't seem like it needs that. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, so let me think. Is there a way? Do they have an AI bot that I can ask this question? Is there a way for me to change my Terraform version? Yeah, I don't care about that yet. Huh. I'm not seeing a simple way of changing the Terraform version. Let's see if we can find it here. What is this? Is it in here? No. Version. No, I don't think it's in here. Okay, so it looks like that's required. That's interesting. Okay, so let me think about how I can fix that simply. Real quick. I guess actually we can just do this. There's so many changes in here. I'm going to have to pull. I don't think it's going to let me check out. Stash. Okay. Get name. Get pull. Cool. Check out. Fix. Uniform. Module. Version. Oh, duh. That's not a commit. GCP. Uniform. Okay. Modules. GCP. Compute engine. In here. Providers. And then what was the provider that it wanted? Where did it go? Here. It needed. You're using version 1.7. So we're going to put in greater than or equal to exactly that. Okay, and then we're going to say git add Terraform. I think I can add that. Yeah, I can add that. Actually, real quick, under example, do I need to change that too? That's actually wrong. This should be a maximum. Okay. All right. And get we'll go back to this guy and then get stash. Sweet. All right, and that's back to normal. All right, and then up here we're going to. Sorry, I wasn't talking through a lot of that because there's a lot of typing. So what we're doing here is we are downgrading our module that we're using, or downgrading its required Terraform version, so that way it is a low enough version to pick up the Terraform version that appears to be running with Terraform plan in the Terracotta AI's plan, virtual plan situation. So we need to merge that in, and then and create pull request, and we'll wait for this to happen. This should happen pretty quickly. One of the cool things about this, though, and kind of the point of Terracotta AI is for them to demonstrate that they are able to detect stuff like this, right? And so this is a Terraform version. It's not a provider version of some other cloud, and it's not a resource version or a resource cost or anything like that. But it is, in fact, something that they're kind of making available visibly to you. They're trying to show you when Terraform changes happen under the hood that could break things, right? Okay, so I think probably it is still not created because we're still doing PR. So we're gonna close this PR again, and then so it should bring in the whole new, yeah, it'll bring in the whole new module again. And so we're gonna close this, close, and then we are going to create a new one. Same thing as before. Again, their whole point is to give you visibility into kind of these underlying things, these underlying PR or these PRs that might be bringing in changes that you're not exactly sure what they do, for specifically for cost, and there's also some drift detection and things like that, which I don't know that we're going to get into that today, because we are in fact running out of time. But again, same pull request. This time, I'm hoping we should get a Terraform plan. Again, still pretty crazy how fast this happens. Whoops. So, oh my goodness, there it is, already there. So we got, it already picked up the changes. That was fast. And then I think we should get some more. Okay, that's my check. That's done. All right, we're just gonna kind of sit here and relax. There we go. Yeah, do we get it? Okay, so still more configuration has to happen. That's okay though. This makes sense that it wouldn't have been able to pick up the plan. Now, but now we're actually to where this is a configuration part on our part, and it's not just I've got Terracotta configured incorrectly. Yeah. So here we go. I don't have Doppler tokens set in my where would I set that? I suspect I have to set that in the Terracotta dashboard because it's running plan. Again, didn't know how much it was going to be able to pull. I'm glad it can't. So this is a good thing though. It demonstrates that it itself cannot pull secrets from your GitHub repository. That's a good thing. Or at least it's not. I don't know if I should say it can't. It's not pulling it. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we configure it? Create credentials and environment variables. Cloud provider credentials for this repository. Environment variables for this repository. Looks like it only supports AWS as a set of credentials for provider. Okay, so we're going to do an environment, which means I'm going to have to pull this off to the side so that it is not visible when I add it. And so we're going to add GFVAR Doppler token. And then now I've got to get its value. Get the value over here off to the side. Still. Oh wait, I can't get it there. Where did I put it? Is it over here? Okay. It's in here. I can pull it from over here. Paste and save. All right, so let me show you what I did. I don't think you can see anything. Okay, so that Doppler token, if you look at the, oh my goodness, dumb. Sometimes the window manager for GNOME is garbage. If you look at the uh, plan, what it said was this Doppler token is declared, but not defined, basically. And that's true. So right here in our variables file, we have this declared. And in GitHub, I have this defined for the plan, but I didn't have it defined in Terracotta AI. And so what I had to do was define it in here. It is nice to know that the value is masked by default in the UI. That is good to see. And then here is the value, or the key for it. If it is a Terraform variable, you can prefix it in your environment with tf underscore var underscore, and then give it the name of the actual token, in this case Doppler token, right? Okay, cool. So let's do it again. Let's see if we can. Oh, good. Thanks Brave, for wanting to save that password, but no thank you. All right, so we're going to close this one again and do it again. So we are up to 3 times running this, trying to get it to work, but that's okay. So mark as closed, and should be able to refresh that out, and it should be gone here shortly. There we go. New pull request. Do it again. We're going to get there, guys. We're going to get there before the hour's up to have a fully functioning plan on the Terracotta AI dashboard that gives us all the things that it's trying to give us. Cool. All right. And then in here, we have, yep, same thing. And we're going to hit create pull request, assign me, and create. And then we should be getting back very similar things, but hopefully this time we finally get a successful plan. Actually, you know what? We might not, because it still can't read state. I bet we're not going to get a successful plan. I bet it's still not going to get the GCP. It's not going to be able to read state. I bet it's still going to break. Actually, no, I take that back. Well, no. Oh. Okay. We got a simulation plan. This is interesting. I'm actually very confused now as to how it knew where to look for the GCP state. That's interesting. Because I don't believe it's configured. So that's a question. Because I don't think it's configured in the thing, and it's definitely not configured in the repository. So how did it know that this was a change? Well, this is changes summary. This is, oh no, here's the plan though. Yeah, it actually did a plan, a virtualized plan, it seems. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that and ask about that, because I don't understand how it has access to the bucket that contains the state, and it knows in fact that this is going to be created. But that's okay. Okay, so simulated plan. Maybe it's because it is simulated and it's making an assumption based on the fact that these were uncommented changes in the PR. That may be what it is. And it's just saying, hey, this was uncommented, so we don't actually need to know the current state. That may be what it's doing. Is it's just based on code changes, and it doesn't need to actually run a plan against the actual infrastructure, which brings in another edge case, but that's okay. Okay. So it's assuming that what is already out there is actually out there from a Terraform state. Okay. So this gives us a couple of issues, right? So it's telling us, hey, just a heads up, this disk doesn't have a snapshot protection. And it's created with create snapshot before destroy set to false. And this is a new resource introduced by this PR. So what it's saying is enable the snapshot protection by setting create snapshot before destroy to true. That way, if we destroy it, we still have a snapshot to rebuild from. that's actually interesting because I don't think I actually have that set in the module as a something that I can configure in the module. And so this would be great. This would be an opportunity for me to go improve my module that I'm pulling from so that I can have this toggleable, right? And in my case, I don't want this to have this. I don't want to have snapshots lying around when I'm creating and destroying demo machines, but this is a correct recommendation, especially if you're dealing in a production environment, right? Because you would want that snapshot to be created if it gets destroyed, so that way if you accidentally destroy something, you can bring it back. So it just kind of makes your automation a little bit more robust. And then the second one, enable deletion protection by setting deletion protection equal to true. This is also one that I don't believe is configurable in my module and would be another addition to improve and make my module more robust if I wanted to. So it appears that this is defaults to false. If it is configurable in my module, then it defaults to false. Again, probably because I generally just am trying to build things quickly and then tear them down. I'm not trying to keep things in set up in a production environment. So both of those things are valid concerns in a production environment. In a demo environment, they're not valid concerns, but that's okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we got to the point where I can merge after getting information from here. It doesn't give any cost changes. Let me see what the dashboard has now showing. Oh, sorry, pull requests. Okay, sweet. And then let's open this up. And open this up. And this says completed failure. That's interesting. What does failure mean? I guess it's failed because it has two mediums. Huh. Okay. So because we have any warnings at all, maybe, or because they're mediums, we have failed the plan. The plan has failed. Okay. Let me see if I can fix that. I don't think my module supports it. If my module does not support it, I'm not going to be fixing it. But it might support it. Let's see here. Variables. Project name, machine type, zone, tags, stopping for update, boot image, boot disk, network, admin, no. It doesn't support it, so I'm not going to change it on this one. We don't have enough time for me to go through that and fix that module. It would be a pretty fast change, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to merge this in, see what that gets us, and then we're going to be pretty much done with this stream. And we've learned a bit about Terracotta and what it can do, and I might play around with it and see if I can find better features or more features, maybe play around with the guardrails. Let's see here. Allow medium, I don't know, maybe this will work. Allow medium medium warnings. Okay, so I'm saying, hey, I want to allow medium warnings in the virtual plan in order that medium warnings do not that's medium warnings should not cause a plan fail. We'll see if that actually gives us something. We'll try one more PR then to see if this actually changes the success or failure of the plan. It's processing right now. And then I promise after this one it'll merge. No matter what the result is, after this one it'll merge. We'll merge it and see what we get. Okay, it is enabled. So actually I'm going to come back to this and see if it's already changed itself. All right, pull requests. and it still says failure. Okay, so let's close this pull request. Boom, closed. New pull request, we're just going for it. This guy, create pull request, me. It's like, bro, you've done this 4 times already. You really gonna do it again? Okay, and then we're gonna create this pull request, and then it's gonna pop up over here. There it is. Okay. All right, let's see what we get. I'm sure we're gonna get basically the same thing on this side, because that's cool. It looks like you can set a budget threshold. Conflict attention. Okay, here we go. Block. Oh, there we go. Block on severity, critical, high, annotation. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, cool. So this, I wonder if that changed. Let me go to the old PR actually real quick. Closed. That one said high, critical, high, and then it's failure. Okay, no, it's the same. It didn't change. I was wondering if the guardrail changed that. That'd been pretty cool. Okay. And then we should see the same plan and the same mediums over there. Okay, let's see what it says. No, still says failed. Okay, so not sure why the plan is giving us a fail. Especially when these are considered medium. So have to figure that one out with the guys. Maybe that's a bug. Because these are severity's medium, and it's saying it only gives a failure on critical or high in the plan review. It's giving us a check mark up here, and so that's great. And it's saying it's not giving us a failure down here either, but in the actual dashboard UI, it is telling us failure. So got to figure that one out. But okay, cool. Let's merge it. I don't know if we're gonna see anything from the merge. Sorry, down here. I don't think we're gonna see anything from this merge. And confirm merge. Cool. And then it's actually going to apply it in our action. There. And then closed dashboard. Are we going to see anything up here? Nope. This is running them. Okay. I guess we're not going to see anything on merge events. Okay, and then if we get, okay, good, it built. Let's just to prove that it built my VM. If we pop up into the VM instances, there we go. There's Terracotta demo. It just built. Okay, cool. What I want to see is in the merge. Does it give us anything in here? It's probably gonna give us anything in here. Is it? Nope. Okay. So just on PRs, it looks like is where it's designed to build around, or to give information and updates before you merge stuff into main. Okay, that's fine. So it's actually, this is cool. I didn't know this. I didn't know it wasn't actually going to be running the plan and apply for us. So all it is doing is actually running a diff on the Terraform files and doing a virtualized plan in order to determine what's going to change, and then based on those changes, the virtual changes, it's giving you a recommendation for critical changes and cost. Cool. All right, so that's it. That's time. We're at an hour. So my breakdown for today is, again, I'm Steven with GooseOps, and we are checking out Terracotta AI to see what kind of AI tooling it offers. And it gives us a very quick setup and a very quick start to integrate a GitHub repository. A couple of gotchas are that the repository does need some configuration. If your Terraform files are not in the root of the directory, you're going to need to change your directory. And if you have credentials, if you have variables that are credentials that need to be configured to pull things or to authenticate to things, you will have to set those up as well. So we had one variable that's needed for the repository to plan, and that was the Doppler token. And so we had to set that up in our environment. Those were really the only two things that we had to set up in order to get this thing working. And that was pretty simple. It did take us 3 or 4 PRs to get that figured out. And but so we lost, of our 20 PRs, we lost 4 of them, or 3 of them just in configuration findings, but that's okay, no big deal. And then, but once we got that set up, we were able to see our pull request changes coming through here, and as well as we were able to see our pull request changes, or information, and more importantly, we were able to see them on the actual pull request. And so if we look at this pull request, we can see that what Terracotta gives us in the change log for the PR, right? Before we merge this PR, we can see the simulated plan report, which gives us some issues. There were no code review problems or PR conflicts, and it says detected 0 cost changes in this request. That one's not true. It definitely is a cost change, although the E2 micro is free for a number of times, for some time, so maybe that's what it's pulling from, and then it gives us a natural language summary of the changes, which is nice. So really great tool. Definitely has some things that I have questions about. One is, I guess it doesn't use whatever state is out there, which means it's assuming that your current state of the main branch, or whatever branch you're merging to, is the state of the infrastructure that's out in the water. And so that's an interesting assumption, and because it's running a virtual plane, so it's not actually pulling state from you, or for you. I don't think. So I got to figure that would be a question. The other piece is that the severity for plan doesn't appear. So the severity on here is set to critical and high, which should block, and you get a green check mark, which is great. And then down here we have 2 medium severity issues, but over here in the actual dashboard we're getting a critical. And so that's one thing that I'm unsure of, like why, or not critical, we get a failure, so I'm not sure why that's not working. So those are a couple of things that I'm not sure about. And then the guardrails that we put in place, this came from so I typed in this to the AI and asked it for some guardrails. I want to allow medium warnings. I was going to see if that would fix or change the plan outcome. And then over here, it actually gives us a set of warnings management from that input source. And it applies to everything. So that was really cool, and you could definitely go back and forth with these conversations trying to get those guardrails set in place. One of those guardrails is going to be cost. That would be really great. So that way, if you are able to get a proper cost impact analysis, it's going to have those guardrails in place and be able to say, hey, this is not a good thing to do because it's going to cost you a whole lot more money, more than your threshold that you've set in here. So natural language guardrails sounds like a really fun feature and something that you could dive deep into in order to start managing guardrails for your infrastructure. That's it for me today, though, guys. This was Terracotta AI explained and learned by GooseOps. So we'll catch you on the next live series. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the like button, and you will get all of our new learning videos and notifications when we are going to be going live. All right, see you guys.